Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Rosie here, and today, I'm not going to say we're going to be checking it out, because I've already seen it probably over 20 times at this point. I've just been watching and rewatching it, so I get a little bored and got nothing else to do. Taking a swap from the Dead by Daylight, get back on these movies a little bit. I know I still got to review the Halloween shit, and that's really do be how it be sometimes, though, lads. You just get stuff so caught up in what you're doing. Stuff do be kind of falling out, but so it technically got leaked because it was showing at Oppenheimer screenings, but it leaked. They just put it out. I don't know when they were actually planning on putting it out. It could have just fallen right on schedule. Who the fuck really knows? But they just dropped it. It's the Exorcist Believer trailer. Okay, now. I don't know if anybody knows this, but The Exorcist is the granddaddy of them all, man. The Exorcist is something special. It's like it can be hard for kind of the new generation of fans to kind of understand just why The Exorcist is so special and so unique. Like The Exorcist. Of course, I have an Exorcist story. It's not, like, the best one in the entire world. I think every horror fan does. They remember the first time they watched the fucking Exorcist. But, it's one of those movies that it dropped at, 1973. It's 50 years old. Holy fuck. It's 50 years old. I'm saying that just doesn't even feel right. It's 50 years old. Half a century old, bro. What the fuck? That means Linda Blair, the little girl, she's in her fucking 50s now, right? Or 60s? Because she was like 12 during the movies, right? So 50, yeah, she'd be 62 about now? Holy fuck, dude. That just doesn't feel right. But, yeah, I can't believe the mom is even still alive. But, beside the point. But, The Exorcist, it came out at a transitional time for this genre. Before Halloween, before Nightmare on Elm Street, before Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it was, I guess, Psycho, but Psycho wasn't Psycho is Psycho, and that's a review for another day. But The Exorcist was full on, in your face, in color. There was nothing like it at the time, and it kind of pushed the boundaries for what you're able to fucking do in these movies, and it paved the way for something like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre to do what it did, which then, of course, invented the Halloween slasher subgenre, and, the rest is history from there. And then, The Exorcist is kind of the kickoff of the boom period of the best 2 decades of horror, the 70s and 80s. Those 2 decades are yet to be topped. I know it's hard to say which one is better. On one hand, the 70s gave you most of the IPs that go on to define what horror ended up being, and then in the 80s kind of did the sequel. I don't fucking know, but again, this is all a discussion for another time, and you need to do research before you just start throwing things out. So I really shouldn't be throwing things out. It's hard to say which decade is better, but. So it's like, some people be like, oh, the demon's funny. But again, this is a review for The Exorcist. But we're talking about Believer, okay? That's what we're trying to talk about here. This trailer, from what I understand, is getting destroyed on social media, on Twitter, and everything. People, from the reactions I've seen, I've seen mixed reactions, but apparently people be destroying this movie's trailer. The test screenings for this movie were pretty bad. So my expectations were low. Were super fucking low. But it's just I guess what I was trying to do with that sub is this, to me, I'm going to try to provide a fair and balanced analysis here of this trailer. Because on one hand, I think this trailer does some things right. But I do think it does some things right. But at the same time, this is The Exorcist. This is The Exorcist. This is the fucking... You gotta do something really fucking special with this IP. Because that's why I, for one, just campaign for this IP to never return. Just to never return. Number one, it's not really franchisable. It's not really franchisable when you really think about it. That's the first thing. And the second thing, why bother? You're never topping the original. Why bother with that? Why even bother to try, especially remaking it? Remaking it's a shit idea. I'm glad they fucking went with the approach of doing a sequel over a remake, because if you remake this movie, you're doomed to fail. You're absolutely doomed to fail. You can't top it. It's one of those things, honestly, a lot of the movies that have been remade, that should never have been remade, have already been remade. The only two I can think of are Exorcist and Jaws that are yet to be remade that really shouldn't have been. Texas Chainsaw and Halloween were both on there, by the way. But, you know, the thing that I have reservations for, number one, the test screenings were bad, and two, it's David Gordon Green and his crew that just got done wiping Michael Myers off their ass cheeks. They just character assassinated Michael Myers. Their previous film does not exactly leave me with high expectations for any future projects that they're going to do. But at the same time, technically, they are 2 for 3 with me, because I liked 2018 and I liked Kills, right? So technically, they're 2 for 3 with me. But that being said, like, that last film was such a bomb, such a stinker, that it's hard, it's hard for me to look at this and go, oh, these are the guys that are gonna fucking bring The Exorcist back. These are the guys that know what to do with this franchise that has struggled beyond the first movie. I think 3 is genuinely okay. But other than 3, with Brad Dourif carrying the movie on his back, there's, like, no other movie here. And, like, it's, so, what do you do? So, the trailer starts, we'll play a little bit of it, but mostly, I don't want to play too much of it, because if I talk over it, you're not going to be able to hear me. So, basically, you'll see.
Good day. Hey, be home by dinner.
I love you. Good morning, Mr. Fielding.
Morning,
Gee,
Catherine.
I wonder who's getting possessed. That's so. The story of this movie is they're doing something a little different again. Okay, so this movie, those 2 girls there, they're getting possessed. Cute, and it's The Exorcist. I like how we're going back to children. I like how we're going. One of the biggest issues with the Conjuring universe is that and it's not an issue, it's something that makes it different from The Exorcist, is that The Conjuring mainly focuses on the adults getting possessed. The only exception I can think is the Annabelle Creation movie. Annabelle Creation is the one where a child does get possessed as well, but it's like Annabelle Creation was doing something completely different. We're going back to this seems to be scaled back in terms of what we're doing, whereas like the Conjurings are like, I mean, the Conjurings they're not really high scale either. They're like these isolated instances, but it's Ed and Lorraine Warren. I don't fucking know that, but it's like it's hard not to compare the 2 franchises. And I don't ever want to hear that The Exorcist walked so The Conjuring could run. The Exorcist was running and still running way past The Conjuring. So let's be fucking real here. So basically, right away, the biggest issue right away, okay, that you have with this is look at it.
And Catherine, it's about 7 hours ago, and that's the last information we have.
Catherine!
Angela?
If you can hear this, we love you. Please come home.
Just look at it. And it looks like a horror movie. It looks like any other movie. And it's like, it's hard to fucking be like, well, Rosie, that's just what the 70s did. It's just the way that movies were made back then. They had a very 70s look to them. But it's just like, bro, this looks like any fucking demon possession movie, which I think is one of the things. Which I think that's one of the things people are saying online. Is that if it wasn't for the fact that the mom is in it, Reagan's written on the bed, and Tubular Bells is playing in the background, you wouldn't even know this was the fucking Exorcist. You wouldn't be able to fucking tell. You wouldn't be able to tell, and that's kind of fair and kind of not, because on one hand, the idea of 2 of them getting possessed is cute, but it's like, there's nothing in this trailer that screams, this is The Exorcist. This is the fucking granddaddy of all of them. Like, this is must-see material. There's nothing in here that jumps out at you like that. Go, this is a sequel to that movie from the 70s. The one that made people faint and leave the theater. That one? Yeah. It's a sequel to that one. And it looks too polished and pretty. Like this is a big issue I have with movies today. Maybe you can just say it's a preference thing, but it's like everything looks too polished. Everything looks too pretty. The Exorcist had a rough, grainy quality to it that made it feel more real. And that's again, that's just the thing with these older movies. You just prefer that their style and their look. But it's just, this doesn't look like an Exorcist movie.
Hey, you found her?
And then
What are you and Catherine doing?
this is going, and one thing that you notice in this trailer, this is going to be a liberal movie. It looks that way. It gives off that vibe. And it's not because that one of the girls that's getting possessed is black. That is not why it looks like a liberal movie. The reason it looks like a liberal movie comes when Chris enters. But basically, the two girls they get lost in the woods. They come back, right? And it's like now they're acting all weird. Then you get this scene.
Body and the blood!
Catherine!
So they get possessed. I don't know. So then she comes in, and she comes into the church. I don't know how I feel about this yet.
Catherine.
Body in the blood.
I think this scale is a little too big, whereas Reagan from the original only acted weird and like she was kind of isolated from the world. Is there one scene of Reagan other than the end that takes place outside in the original? Which again, I haven't seen the original in quite some time. It's probably going to be my next review. But like, is there one scene other than the end where Reagan is outside? I don't think so. Not that I remember off the top of my head. Like, she's inside the house the entire movie, like, representing her social isolation. Her isolation from everybody. Her mother, being a rich actress, very, like, distant. The dad's out of the picture. Reagan is, like, set up to be isolated. So the fact that these two children are in school and they're normal, it's just, it's not the same framework right away. So I don't know how I feel about this scene here.
The body and the blood! The body and the blood!
Catherine!
The body and the blood!
Like that kind of weird shit. But it's like, okay. Then this happens.
Seen anything like this?
Mommy?
No, but there are people out there who have.
You have some experience.
Now, it's like, okay, it's hard not to get hype. It's hard not to appreciate this part. It's hard not to appreciate Tubular Bells playing, and you seeing Chris again, Reagan's picture. I heard that Reagan's only delegated to a cameo appearance. I don't know if that's true or not, or maybe they're just keeping everything a secret with her. I don't know what they're doing. But it's hard not to appreciate and get hype about what you're seeing here. It's hard. But because this is good. They got her back. Just the first one that Chris's character has been in since the original. It's hard not to appreciate this. If you like the first movie, it's hard not to appreciate this. But you have to shake that off. And the reason I say you have to shake that off is because there's some very questionable decisions here and some very questionable lines.
Possession.
Yes, more than I'd like.
I believe you can help get our girls back.
What the fuck's Chris gonna do? That's a question I have. It's like, I believe you can help get the girls back. What did Chris do in the original Exorcist? She got slapped and thrown around the house like a fucking punk bitch the entire movie. Chris was the demon's bitch the entire movie. Chris was Pazuzu's fucking toy, other than Reagan, the entire movie, and Karis, I guess. But Pazuzu fucking enjoyed fucking making Chris's life miserable. What the fuck's she gonna do? Right? Like, she's not no expert. She's not so expert on this subject. Some people were also saying that it makes no sense that she's like Laurie Strode, exorcism expert now. I'm mixed on that, because again, I haven't seen the original in a while, and people were saying that, you know, at the same, it makes no sense for her to be a fucking exorcism expert. It looks like she just wanted to put it all behind her. But it's like, I'm mixed on that, because at the same time, it's like, I could also see that she is an exorcism expert now. It's like, after the events that took place in the movie, she fucking started to research all of it and knows everything about it. I can accept that premise. So it's like, I'm mixed on her, the handling of her character, but here's the line. The line that's questionable is coming up.
Exorcism is a ritual. Every culture, every religion, they all use different methods. It's going to take all of them.
Every culture, every religion has different methods of exorcism. It's going to take all of them. And here's where I think the movie's going to get liberal. Okay? Now, again, this might not bother you. This might not bother you. But it's like, Catholicism, okay, I'm an atheist, okay? I feel like I always have to say that when I talk about these religion movies and these Conjuring and Exorcist type shit. I feel like I always gotta say that. It's no secret that Catholicism has fallen out of favor in the past 50 years since this movie came out. Religion, the fastest rising religion in today's culture is no religion. Deservingly so, because it's not real. But beside the point, like, these are all pure movie monsters to me. But at the same time, objectively looking at it here, like, the Exorcist, the exorcism is such a thing tied. I guess it's not. You could say, like, that's just Christian, like, privilege and stuff. Like, you know, it's just that's Christianity being dominant in the culture, bruh. Everybody's got methods for this, which I'm sure that they do. And warding off evil spirits is a common thing for spirituality and all this shit. But at the same time, with this franchise, when you watch the first movie and read the intentions of the author of the novel, I think it's William Peter Blatty, whatever his full name is, like, when I believe I read a quote where it's like William Peter Blatty said the Exorcist is about the power of God. That's what it's about. Now, again, I don't touch that idea with a 10-foot pole. But at the same time here, if your intent is to honor the legacy of the original work, you can't just bring, we're going to use Hinduism's method to get rid of demons. That's not Exorcist. That's not the Exorcist. The Exorcist, to me, lads, is inherently Catholic. That's why I haven't watched it for so long. It's an inherently Catholic movie to me. It is an inherently Catholic movie. For as much as people want to go, I don't want to watch that because the horror in it is real, it's not promoting the horror. It's not promoting its antagonist in any real way. It's not doing that. It's about the power of faith that to always triumph over evil. It is a very positive movie about its religious faith. It's a very positive movie in regards to that subject. It is. Like if you can truly look past all of it, like a lot of Catholics aren't even capable of doing that. If you were able to look past all of the gruesome imagery the movie gives you, it is a movie about the power of the faith that it represents, and represents in a very positive, like it represents Catholicism in a very positive way. And it's just like, for you to go this route, where it's like, every religion needs to be a part of this exorcism ritual to get the girls back. That's crap. That is crap, and not honoring the original legacy of the work. Well, it's like, it's like the work needs to be adapted for modern times, as the critical drinker likes to say. That's not necessary. That's not necessary. This is why I'm worried, especially with the clowns that are fucking doing the project. This is where my fears start to come in. It's just I don't see, even in the trailer there are signs that they're not going to do this right. There's if you look for the signs that they're not going to do this right, it's very clear that they're there. And it's like, what do you care, Mr. Atheist? What do you care? Because I don't care if I agree with the message of the work. As I said in my Rob Zombie the Rob Zombie review on what was it? Lords of Salem. The Lords of Salem review. It's like I think I say it in that review. There is another interpretation of The Exorcist that a person like me can get behind, where it's like the Catholic way of doing it doesn't work. Remember, Marin dies. People forget that. The priest that is big, strong in faith, he dies. He gets fucked. His exorcism method fails, which is the one by the book. It fails. Whereas the psychiatrist priest has to come up with an impromptu solution that gets the demon out of the child that is off the fucking Catholic book, right? So there's something for me there too. There's still something for everybody in the movie. So again, the novel's its own thing, which is what Blatty was talking about with the quote, I suppose. But it's like there's something, but it's like at the same time, like there's something for me there too. But at the same time, if you know about the internalization of Karras' character throughout the movie, nothing I said about how the movie portrays the Catholic faith positively is fucking wrong. It still does so, just because like there is a religious interpretation of the movie as well. Just because I can get something out of it doesn't mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see this as a movie that's going to fucking adequately take what the Exorcist is communicating and do it. It just seems to be a movie that's interested in the name and slapping the name on a fucking movie that looks generic as fuck. And I think that's why people see that, and that's where it's coming from. But at the same time, the dual possession here and the heartbeat sync at the end, I like this shit. With their heart, that shit right here. It's like, okay, it's like that shit at the end. I mean, I'm on board with what we're doing there. I see what they're doing there. Their hearts are beating in sync. That's a neat idea. Would have preferred to just get that in the movie and not the trailer. But it's like, that's a neat idea. So it's like, we got some neat ideas for a possession movie in here. But it's like, I don't trust these clowns that just butchered Myers to death. These guys that just fumbled. They were fucking running down the field to go score a touchdown. Then they got tackled and fumbled the football. I don't trust that guy on his next carry as much. You know what I mean? They just fumbled Halloween, and this trailer, if you're looking for the signs that something might go wrong, they're in there. But at the same time, there's ground. Like, you got Chris's character back in it. You can make a good Exorcist movie out of what you're being given here. It's just some of the lines and some of what you're seeing doesn't exactly look like it's going to live up to that premise. And that's where the fear comes in from people. That's why people are kind of crapping on it. And then combined with the test screenings didn't go good. It's hard. It's very easy for me to see why people's expectations are low. That being said, this trailer has made me curious. My anticipation for the movie has gone up because I'm curious. I'm curious to see what they're going to do. And again, it's not going to be as good as the original. There's no fucking chance. Like, at least with Halloween, like, the fresh coat of paint that they were providing the franchise, at least until they got to ends and fumbled the football, at least, like, 2018 and Kills are better than, like, half the franchise. But The Exorcist, there's not that I mean, there have been other Exorcist movies before that have failed, obviously. But it's at the same time, it's like, no one remembers fucking those. No one cares about those movies. Those movies are relics of the past. The only thing The Exorcist 3 is notable for is Brad Dourif's performance and having the best jump scare in cinematic history. The other movies, forgettable garbage. Linda Blair is attractive in the second one. That's all, and that's it. The other two movies are forgettable as fuck. And then there's the perfect original. So it's like a Texas Chainsaw situation where nobody cares about the other movies. That's why you're doomed to fail. And the two geniuses that are helming this, I don't trust 100% because of what they just did to Michael Myers. So, that being said, though, I'm curious. They can't do it again, can they? Like, how do you fuck up Reagan and Chris? How do you do it? Obviously, Karis and Marin are both dead, so you can't fuck them up. So, like, how do you fuck it up here? Just make something passable. And it looks like the potential to make something passable is here. They got enough stuff right. They got enough exorcist moments from the trailer to create something that, again, we said it doesn't feel like The Exorcist, but they use tubular bells. They got something going on with the dual possession that seems unique. I've never seen it. Maybe it's been done in some fucking Japanese movie. Don't fucking tell me it has, because I don't care. But, you know, we got something decent here. We got a decent premise with the two kids. A decent metaphor for, you got a potential race metaphor where the white girl and the black girl are getting tormented by the same thing. So kind of, like, you could use that to kind of do some social commentary there for all the people that are into that sort of thing. There's potential to make something decent here. The problem is what they're making going to honor what The Exorcist was trying to do. That's what a sequel needs to do. It needs to respect what came before it. And what before it was a very pro-Catholic movie. So for you to take the pro-Catholic stuff out of it and shit on that idea, I think goes against everything that The Exorcist is about. And The Conjuring, for instance. Like, if a Conjuring movie were to come out and go, oh, we need to use the Hindu way to get rid of that, like, that doesn't work. the movie monster that Pazuzu is bound by the Catholic law to me, right? Because in the fuck like it just doesn't make sense otherwise to me. It just doesn't. With what they gave you in the perfect original and what the original intent of the actual story was, why it gets so graphic in the novel. One of the brilliant strengths of the movie, The Exorcist, is that it cut no corners and showed it put pretty much 90% of the material that you wouldn't think they put in. They got it in there. They put the crucifix masturbation sequence in the movie. That is something 99% of people would have fucking cut for being too bad. Right? But they put that in. They fucking put it in because of how willing they were to be faithful to the work. And that sequence, by the way, is probably the scariest part of the movie and the most disturbing thing in the movie. The crucifix masturbation sequence. That is fucking, like, if there's one thing that is disturbing to this day about that movie, it is that scene. So the decision to put it in fucking paid off big time. So there you go on that. But it's like, do you think there's going to be anything as risk-taking as what The Exorcist was in this movie? This looks like standard studio crap. When you really pick the pieces apart here, again, it's hard not to get hyped seeing Chris again. It's hard not to get hyped seeing Reagan and hearing Tubular Bells. It's the more you watch it, the more you go, this is going to not be good, is it? It doesn't look or sound like a bad trailer. And it's really... It's an okay trailer. It doesn't look or sound like a bad trailer. Audio's good. It's just when you see the name that's at the top, that's when things fall apart. If this was any other demon movie, it might not be getting hit with the same scrutiny it is. The problem is, it's an Exorcist movie. You're calling this movie The Exorcist. There is a certain weight with that name that this movie is likely not going to be able to carry. And, like, just because you captured something with Myers, 2 out of 3 movies, does not translate to being able to make another movie as a sequel to The Exorcist. The slasher subgenre is much more simple than The Exorcist. So, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do. So, I'm going to be in the theater night 1. So I'm going to be there. That being said, my expectations are still mid, I would say. Because there's some good ideas, and they can somehow make this good. They can make it okay. But I have a lot of concerns. Let's just say that. So that's my thoughts on this shit, lads. I'm getting the hell out of here. GG's.